What's up, guys? This is the Getting in the Green podcast. We are everything for your betting purposes, specifically focused on MMA and fantasy football.
This week we got UFC 265. We're coming off a couple bad cards, so this one should be exciting.
Yeah, it's been a rough go of I feel like betting and DraftKings lineups. There have been, in the last two cards, so many 50-50 fights that it was hard to get value. I'm liking this card so far, just at face value on some of the odds that we can get.
Yeah, I was excited just to have some tape to watch. I mean, we watched so many prospects the last 2 weeks. We got one fight to go off of. This week, was able to put a couple fights together for each fight. Feel pretty good. I mean, I think there's 6 or 7 fights on this card that are 50-50, but I'm feeling pretty good about this card.
Got better reads. All right, let's get it going. First fight is Munoz versus Simmons. We got bantamweight matchup. We got Munoz is a minus 300. Simmons is a plus 240. DraftKings, let's get them up. We have Munoz is at
9,100.
Yep.
Simmons is all the way down at 7,100. Yeah, there's not much to say about this fight. I taped it. Simmons got thrown into the fire. He got Chikaze in his first fight in the UFC on short notice.
Can't blame him for.
I think he threw about 2 good strikes, attempted a grapple, it didn't work out, and then took a brutal head kick knockout in the first round.
And he was being fed to the wolves on that. That was a completely expected result.
Yeah, 100%. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I went and looked up some of his other tape pre-UFC. The guy's not very good, though. He's a wrestler. He comes in with some wide striking. Nothing's technical. He beat some inferior competition, and that's how he got his shot. I think the UFC here, though, they just gave him another fight out of sympathy for what they did to him in his first. But this might be the last we see of Jamie Simmons in the UFC.
Yeah, he definitely got another fight because he stepped up on short notice. General style breakdown, he's kind of an athletic, not ultra athletic, but he uses athletic physicality. Definitely not technical striking, but he wings very hard punches standing. Just kind of goes aggressively in there, wings punches, and looks for takedowns, and has some sort of wrestling background. That's what he's looking for. So
yeah, I mean, he's thicker for the division. He's definitely got power in his hands. So don't get me wrong. If he catches Munoz, it could be over.
Yeah.
However, his wrestling, if he tries to get into a grappling match with this guy, I could see him getting submitted early. Munoz has a gas tank on him. Great takedowns. And when he got on top in his first UFC fight against Manis, I mean, he absolutely controlled this guy on the ground.
Yeah.
Ended up losing that fight. They took a point. He had about 4 groin kicks there. They ended up taking a point from him. I had it as a draw, but not a robbery by any means. Definitely could give 2 and 3 to Manis, but good fight for your UFC debut. But, I mean, the things that stuck out to me was his gas. I mean, 15 minutes is no problem for this guy. He's going to bring it. He's quick. He's looking for arm bars. He's looking for submissions. And
Munoz is a
black belt, world champion.
Beyond black belt. It's not comparable on the ground. His accomplishments in jiu-jitsu world it's top notch for MMA.
Yeah, I mean, even if he ends up on his back, I think he can get it done from there. Simmons, if he rushes in, he's going to play right into his style, and I got Munoz first round getting a submission here.
Yeah. Corey was definitely a little more confident in this pick than me. I'm definitely picking Munoz, don't get me wrong. I was worried if Simmons can keep this standing, do we just get an ugly striking battle that is a coin flip? It's possible, but the more I look at it, I do think Munoz will eventually get it to the ground, even if he has some issues, and once it's there, it should be game over. And I'm not even convinced that Munoz couldn't win the fight standing.
Yeah, I mean, his leg kicks looked good. He could live behind a jab, I think, in this one if he needs to. He's just the more technical fighter here. And
yeah, so pretty straightforward there, I think.
Yeah, I think I've got this at minus 300, and I still like it straight up. I might sprinkle it in some parlays.
So Munoz is the pick for both of us. Betting wise, yeah, it's minus 300. Good parlay. If you wanted to take a stab, we got Munoz by submission at plus between plus 175 to plus 210.
I like that.
Not a bad bet. And DraftKings, he's obviously, you're going to pay for him. He is at, what do we say, 9,200?
9,100,
91,
I think.
yeah, 9,100. So he's at 9,100. However, if he's going to be dominant, you're looking at a guy who scores. He's going to get the submission, or even if he doesn't get the submission but has a dominant win, you're getting takedowns, you're getting control time, you're getting submission attempts.
Yeah, I think he had 63 points in his loss in the UFC. He had about 9 minutes and 42 seconds of control time out of 15.
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah, you're going to get takedowns. I mean, I hope Simmons is good enough to get back up, and he'll just get taken down again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go as far to say this is a must-play for DraftKings, but you don't want to not have any action on this fight. First fight of the night, and this could be a good one.
Simmons 7,100. If you know something we don't, or have a feeling, I wouldn't touch him. I think obviously the guy throws hard. He could knock out. It's like, even if I see a Simmons path to victory, I see a boring striking match, which makes me not want to play him either way.
Yeah, and we got a lot of firefights on this card. I'm not looking for some decision fighters here. I think we could go all finishes.
All right. Let's go to the next card. Next fight. We got Leonardo and Gatto.
This fight was interesting. Gatto opened at about minus 150. I believe she's 8,800 on DraftKings. So my initial reaction was this chick must be the real deal in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and it's all the way. We're at even right now. Just so.
Yeah, it's been bet all the way to even. When you actually pull the
minus 108, yeah.
When you pull the tape on Gatto, it's 3 years old. It's nothing spectacular. I mean, we're watching from like an iPhone recording cage side here, and her grappling's serviceable. It wasn't spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
She submitted some, again, inferior competition, and by no means is Leonardo a excellent fighter, but she's got a little more experience. Her striking looks good. There wasn't much tape on this, though, so if there's something everybody knew about Gatto, I might be missing it, but I got Leonardo by decision.
Yeah, I'm sticking with you. It's a tough one. I want to say we don't have a strong opinion on this because exactly what you said. We don't have a lot of tape. We weren't able to dig in the way we do on other fights, so low confidence level either way on our advice on this one. But from what I saw, I think Leonardo just looked to be just slightly better in every aspect. You know, it seemed like she can dictate where the fight goes a little more physical.
Yeah, I believe she's also a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, so I don't think she'd be completely out of her realm if this does go to the ground.
Yes.
I could even see her winning some of these grappling exchanges.
She's obviously not going to want to be on her back. It's not going to be a good spot for her, but I think she's going to be able to keep it standing.
Yeah, I'd say Gatto, the thing she's got going for her, she was young. It's been 3 years since we've seen her fight. She could be a completely different fighter coming into this. I'm definitely not betting this fight.
Yeah.
I'm also probably not playing it on DraftKings at all. I see a decision win. I see maybe 60, 65 points being scored by the winner, and that's not going to get it done on this card.
Yep. If you're going to play it, I would say Leonardo does have the value, considering just from a statistical odds standpoint, they're both even money right now. One person is 7,400 on DraftKings, the other's 88. So if you feel the need to play it, or if you're having a tough time getting a lineup made, the 7,400 is not the worst thing if you think she's going to win. Yes. But generally, we're going to quick fight for us. Don't feel strongly on it.
Absolutely not.
Either way. Okay. Next one up, we got Johns and Dos Santos, and we got, let's go through odds. Johns right now minus 210, Dos Santos plus 175, and we have, and this was actually pissed me off because this fight's rescheduled. This fight was last minute cancellation, I want to say about 3 weeks ago. And Miles Johns I was big on, and I think he was only like 8,200, 8,300 on DraftKings. Fight gets rebooked. Now he's an 8,800. And on the other side, you're gonna if you're on Dos Santos, you're getting better value. He's all the way down to 7,300. First one that I think there's a little bit of disagreement on here as far as confidence levels. I think we're picking the same guy. So ever since this fight was first announced, I've really liked Miles Johns in this fight. I think he He's going to totally dictate where the fight goes. I think he's the more athletic guy. I think he's got a lot of paths to victory. I think he could coast standing with his jab, even hurt him like he did. Who did he finish in his last fight? Natividad. Yeah, he crushed him in the third round with a pretty sweet KO that I was not expecting, considering how the fight was going. It was a good fight. He was in total control, but like out of nowhere, he threw power that I didn't even know he had. It was a pretty brutal KO, but without that jab, he's got the wrestling. He's an athletic guy. I think the only place he gets in trouble is if he's careless with his takedowns and gets something reversed and is in a bad position on the ground. But I do think, just stylistically, I think it's a really tough fight for Dos Santos. And that's not even Dos Santos. He's a good guy, good fighter, has his skills. I just think Johns is a little better everywhere. I think he's going to be able to control the grappling. I think he's going to keep it standing, and he's going to just have his jab landing all night and crush him. So I have him by a very comfortable decision.
Yeah, so I like Johns, and I think if he lives behind that left jab of his, I mean, he's going to win this fight easy.
Yeah.
I just don't know if that's his DNA. And I noticed even when his jab was working against Natividad, he wanted to go in and grapple with this guy and go back to his wrestling background. And in these scrambles with Dos Santos, I don't know if that's the position you want to be in. I know he's coming off a submission win. The fight before that against Ewell, though, he showed a great chin. I mean, he got absolutely destroyed in that fight.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from Ewell here, but he got destroyed for 3 rounds, couldn't win the striking matches, and couldn't keep him down when he did take him down. However, in his last fight, I mean, he was really hunting the submissions, and I think if Johns brings that fight into him, I think he wins the grappling match. He's a wild man. He throws crazy strikes. There's nothing technical about this guy's game. Now, if you can get Johns on his back foot where he can't live off that jab, I want to see how he reacts.
Yeah.
I do think Johns, I mean, the smart play here is Johns by decision. And honestly, I mean, Johns by KO possibly, because Dos Santos is the kind of fighter that's going to bring the fight to him. Yeah. They're not going to dance around the edges. He's looking for it. He's a crazy man. Tongue out against Ewell, bleeding out his face. That's just the kind of fighter he is. It's tough. I don't know if I'm going Johns on DraftKings, and I'll probably have a good amount of Dos Santos at his price. As far as betting goes, I don't know if I want to touch that line. It's a little too high for me. I think we've got Johns at
-210.
-210 right now.
It might moved a little, -220.
Yeah, this is a close fight, and I can definitely see Johns winning. I think if he gets on top on the ground too, I think he's more than capable of avoiding submission. So this is just going to be a good fight. I'm excited to watch this one.
I think it's going to be a good fight. I'm a little dissenting on that one. I like Miles John at 220. I think personally, my comfortableness with this fight, I think I would have him in the -300, 350 range if I was making the line. So I like the value. Wouldn't necessarily go crazy with it, but I'm encouraging a bet here, either straight up or I think he's great for a parlay. If you have somebody else on this card who's a bigger favorite that you feel really good about, a lock, if you put him in there, get some good value there, I like that. DraftKings, like I said, I'm really disappointed that the value changed so much on him. I will be playing Johns. 8,900 even is what he's at. So 8,900 is a tough play for a guy that I don't think he's going to get the finish. I think he's going to be a comfortable decision. I think he scores okay. I don't think he breaks 100. I think he's going to be in the 80 range, which is a tough buy at 8,900. I'll play some of him just to mix up, but he's probably not a play for me on DraftKings. Dos Santos, I may get 1 or 2 cards with him, but he's not. I don't personally see the value there. You're right. If he wins, I think he finishes him. So if he wins, he's going to be a great play at 7,300. I don't see it in the same way you do. So I'll maybe play 1 or 2, but I'm not going to be too high on Dos Santos. So more of a pass for me for the fight on DraftKings just based on the values. From a betting perspective, I like Miles Jones a lot.
Yeah. I mean, either way where you stand on this fight, this is going to be a fun one to watch.
It is going to be entertaining.
For an early prelim fight, this is a great fight.
All right, let's go. Next fight, we got Cape versus Osborne. And you and me are in agreement on this one, but we are the dissenting view from I feel like the general public and the odds makers on this. So Cape's minus 200, Osborne's a plus 170.
Yeah, this one's interesting to me. I mean, when I first looked at it, I had Osborne all day before I even saw the line. And I know people are screaming recency bias here, but I mean, you could go as far down Osborne's record as you want. The guy gets it done, and he gets it done early.
He's a finisher. He's definitely a finisher in the sense that, he just did an interview recently, and he was talking about how if he goes to decision, even if he wins, he feels like he lost. That's not his job. That's not doing his job. He's there. He's a killer, be killed. He's going out on a shield type of guy, which is, you got to respect from an entertainment standpoint and just a mindset standpoint. So regardless of what the betting outcome is, this is a guy that brings it, and he either gets the finish or he puts himself in a tough position to be finished. And
yeah, I mean, his loss to Keller, I mean, I watched that fight a couple times now, and he was on the bottom for the majority of that fight for as long as it lasted. But I mean, the elbows he was throwing up from the bottom position was just absolutely crushing Keller. And then you can see it in his face. He got impatient. He was tired of being on the bottom.
Yep.
And he gave up his neck trying to get up, and he got caught. I think he learned his lesson from it. But I mean, this guy, he's going to meet you in the center of the octagon, and he's going for it.
Yeah.
Now, Cape, on the other hand, came in, high prospect, great striker.
Yeah, a lot of hype behind him.
A lot of hype.
A lot of hype.
Has not shown up in the UFC yet.
No. I will give him, I do think he had some tough fights. I think, Pontejo is a good guy. He's right up there right now in the rankings. I think he's fighting close to a title eliminator soon in one-off. So, tough. He did get thrown to the wolves, but with that being said, I'm with you. It was, he had the chance to sprint right into contention, and he fell flat on his face in that sense.
He was absolutely cruising in that first fight for no reason.
Yeah.
He threw no volume. He just didn't look like he had that killer instinct to me for a guy that's basing his whole career on striking. He didn't bring it at all.
Yeah.
Second fight comes around, and he does start to throw. I thought he won the decision against Nikolov.
It was a close fight. Very close fight.
He ended up getting the loss. That was a great fight, though.
Yeah.
However, I mean, there's this idea that he's just going to turn it around and become this killer striker in the UFC, and I don't know, I'm on the side. I need to see it first before I believe it, especially at minus 200 against a guy like Osborne who's going to try and finish you.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him look that great on the ground. If this goes down, I could see Osborne getting a submission here.
Yeah.
I will say the way Osborne fights, though, this fight's not going to decision.
No, I don't think so. I will say, I like Osborne, but because of the value, in the sense that I could see it going either way. I think Osborne's going to bring the fight. He clearly has the more killer instinct. A lot of the stuff I'm reading, a lot of the people that are picking Cape, their idea is, hey, he's going to be forced to bring it, whether he's got the killer instinct or not, because Osborne's going to be going in there, and then Cape's probably a more technical striker, even if he lacks the power or the explosiveness that Osborne has seemed to bring, and he's going to catch him with a counter just because it's going to bring him to him. I could see that. I'm not saying I couldn't see that. I think it's very, very close to a 50-50 fight, and one guy's a decently big underdog. I'm going to go with the underdog who's going to bring the aggression. So if in that off chance, hey, we don't get a finish, usually the guy who's bringing the action is going to get that decision. So I'm comfortable with the knockout probably being 50-50, but one of them's more aggressive and is then a sizable underdog. I'm going to take that bet all day.
Yeah, I think it's, you got to note, too, that Cape came in and didn't make weight here.
It's true. He just missed by 3 pounds.
3 or 4 pounds, and that's with the 1 pound allowance. So they are still going to fight at a catch weight here. He gave up part of his purse. It depends on the type of fighter if that's an advantage or not. This guy's not a pressure guy. He's not a wrestler. That extra weight's not going to bode well for him. I expected him to come in here fast and technical, and this guy hasn't had issues making weight in the past. So, did something go wrong in camp? Is there an injury we don't know about? You got a lot of factors when a guy like that's not making weight.
And weight cuts are always tough too, where kind of it's a double-edged sword there of a two-way street of, did he have a really rough weight cut? Really thought he was going to make it, went really hard, and then bailed out at the last second. So he got all that drained, and it was just so rough that he's going to be drained on fight night. Or is it the opposite where, hey, he started cutting weight, immediately said, I'm not going to make this, and screw it, I'm not going to dehydrate myself at all or go that hard, then you can have an advantage sometimes if you didn't go through that draining cut. I don't know. 3 pounds is kind of that in the middle of maybe you were trying and that we're that far off, or maybe you quit early and have an advantage. Tough to get a read on that, but definitely not good for whatever you got going on outside of the cage that made you not
also
kind of be that professional
note
that makes weight.
Osborne doesn't cut weight. He fights at his natural weight. And it's bode well for him so far. Cape looked drained on that scale, man. They had the box around him, and I think he was just trying to save this fight. He didn't want to, have it scratched, so he did his best to get as close as he could, but that guy looked absolutely drained up there. I don't know. I think it's a good fight. I like Osborne. Now, this is one of those fights where I'm not going to go heavy on Osborne at plus 170, but there are some very interesting prop bets here. I think you can get Osborne at like plus 800 by first round finish.
Yeah, it's not a bad
Definitely
bet at
worth
all.
sprinkling in. Fight doesn't go the distance.
Yeah, what do we got? Fight doesn't get the distance. Got basically even money. -1, 118, -120. It's a good bet. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yep. So
I'd
I don't-
prefer that bet than
Yeah.
either one of them. Even with me liking Osborne and him being close to plus 165, plus 170 on some sites, I think you're safer with fight doesn't go the distance.
a little more on Cape too. I mean, this guy throws some highlight reel striking.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, he's coming for the kill too, and he doesn't have the volume to back it up so far. But I mean, some of this guy's flying knees and stuff they'll end the fight.
Yeah,
He's not a decision fighter by any means.
So bets, I definitely think you and me are in agreement of a fight doesn't go the distance is the best bet because I feel like it's 50-50 in terms of who's going to get the actual knockout. If you agree with us on Osborne but feel maybe a little stronger than we do about a technical advantage, then he's got great value. He's at plus 170. I still like him to win the fight, but there's risk there. This is going to be a banger. DraftKings, however,
Got to play him
Yeah,
almost
he's
at
great
7,200.
exactly.
I mean, if this guy gets the finish, he'll be on the optimal lineup, no doubt.
And Cape is all the way at 9,000.
Yeah, again, though, I mean, if you're on Cape and you think he wins this fight, man, I think he makes value at 9,000.
Yeah, I'm going to be heavy on this fight, no doubt about it. Look at the last one. Osborne's last fight, he scored 127 points. Obviously, that was a very quick KO. But he scores.
That's how he fights.
Exactly. And
Now, given Jerome Rivera is a bum,
yeah,
that fight doesn't stand very well.
yeah,
We were just at UFC 264. I believe Jerome Rivera didn't get out of the first round in
no.
that fight either. But he's a highlight guy, man. You can go all the way down his record. First, second round finishes. He's 1-1 in decisions, so might have gas tank issues here. But if he does, I mean, Cape's just going to bring it and get the finish.
Yeah, so very heavy percentage. This fight will be in our lineups. Will be probably 70% Osborne, maybe 70,
Yeah, I'd say
75, just based on the value. And I'm going to be playing a little bit of Cape just because, like I said, I think either way, you're getting a finish. The guy's going to score over 100 points, and I'm going to want to be in that fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can make a hell of a lot better lineup with Osborne, though. So Osborne's very, very good play here. All right, go on to the next one.
All right, we're moving into the prelims here.
Yep, that was end of early prelims, and we start with the women's MMA.
I'll let you take a shot at this name.
Yeah, I'm going to go first name, Carolina, right?
We got
And
Carolina
Penne.
and Penne. This is a 50-50 fight. It's a tough fight. Carolina's coming off 4 straight losses. Hasn't looked particularly good, but she has fought some good competition there. Just haven't gone her way.
She's also, she's a former belt challenger, title challenger. Believe it or not, she fought Joanna Champ, got pretty much pieced up the whole fight. There was, I don't know if it was round 3 or round 4. She lands a head kick and comes very close to winning the championship, and then continued to get dominated. But she's been around for a long time. She's had her ups and downs.
Yeah, she's definitely the vet in this fight, and she's fought some great strikers recently, and just has been outmatched. But I think in this fight, she has a striking advantage for once here. And I mean, if she could stay behind a jab and might be able to start piecing up Penne, but Penne's the younger fighter. She's got a little more promise, and if this thing goes to the ground, Penne should go to work.
I agree with you. And You know, I question a lot of what is going on in Carolina's life outside of fighting, and that's not to get too personal on hers, but I know that she's opened up about some mental health issues she suffered from depression and possible suicide and things like that. And this is all during her losing streak, and I wish her the best health wise, but it's definitely brings into question how serious the career is being taken, or is she the same fighter that she was when she even was able to get to that title shot? And so that is a huge red flag for me and concern of just, even when you're watching old tape of her, is this even the same fighter that we're watching tape on? And she obviously hasn't looked great in her last performances and has gone through a rough streak. And I think part of that, if I had to guess, is not only her aging, but what's going on outside of the cage. So I have a tough time picking her in this fight, and I think Penne will be able to get to the ground, and I think Penne will she just has more juice left in her career. I think she's going to show that Carolina is just the next wave she's out a little bit. So that's where I'm at. I definitely am picking Penne. Again, I don't have. This isn't a must play for me. This isn't I'm doubling down on this. That's just my guts saying that Penne takes a pretty comfortable decision here.
Yeah, I agree. And I've even heard people float around the idea that they gave Carolina Penne as a soft toss for a win, and I don't see that at all. Penne's, she's looked decent out there. I don't think she's spectacular in any one field, but she's definitely not a pushover. She can hold her own on the striking. She's definitely going to win the grappling here. And yeah, I mean, just pure fight mileage. She's got less. She looks fresher. She's going to be the more athletic fighter here.
And just to see, so we didn't go odds on this one before. So Penne's actually, in some sites, moving up all the way to plus 120, and you can get Carolina at minus 140. So I do like Penne as the underdog there. I think you got value.
I think the value's there. I personally won't be betting this fight. I don't have a good enough feel on this. DraftKings, I probably won't be touching much of it either. I just can't.
I don't think either one scores.
I was going to say, I don't see a scenario where a lot of points are being scored here. And again, as long as all these fights stay on the card and we don't have any issues on fight day, there's enough fights here that there's no reason to take shots on decision victories.
All right, so we're both on Penne. Probably neither betting it. If you are going to bet it, I'd bet Penne as the underdog in a fight that I do feel comfortable she'll take. DraftKings, I'm not touching it.
I'm not touching this, yeah.
Yeah. All right, next one. I really like this next fight. We got Menfield versus Herman.
Poor Herman here, man.
I'm with you. I think, if anyone hasn't watched Herman, he's a great fighter. He's had a great career, super entertaining guy. He's mostly like a jiu-jitsu guy, get down, get subs. But if you want to talk about the guy that's had some really cool comebacks, a guy who looks like he's outmatched physically or on the feet and gets it to the ground and gets a magical submission, watch it. He's a fun guy to watch throughout his UFC career. He's also now 40 years old. He's fighting a monster, and I don't think he.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He's moving up in weight class here.
Yeah, he's been at light heavyweight, but yes, his majority of his career has been at middleweight. Yeah, I'm 40 and I don't want to cut weight anymore. He's not a big or a true light heavyweight.
I was laughing
because
he came in heavier than Manyfield on the scales.
Yeah.
And when you see these guys get into the octagon tomorrow, Manyfield is going to be a complete monster standing next to this guy.
Yeah.
Now, does Manyfield have gas tank issues? Yeah.
He does.
I don't think it goes there, though. I think he just rushes through Herman.
I think so, too. Obviously, Herman's coming off a couple wins here, but he's coming off that submission win over Rodriguez, and anyone who watched that fight knows there was a pretty great injustice done to Rodriguez. Rodriguez finished Ed Herman 2 times in that fight, and the ref basically didn't stop the fight, then called a groin shot that was really a stomach shot, and after just completely getting dominated, turns the tide, gets the fight to the ground, gets a submission in the 3rd round, but really did not deserve that win. Got absolutely annihilated by an athletic striker who, as we saw in Rodriguez's next fight, horrible takedown defense. Just got taken down at will. And it wasn't like Herman was taking him down at will. He was getting absolutely annihilated. And I think Manfield has significantly better takedown defense just with his size and strength alone. He actually, in his last win, which was a guy who came in on short notice, he showed pretty good grappling, improved grappling, got takedowns, got a submission, if I believe. I think
he won by submission in the first round.
Showed improved ground because he's really seen as this powerful striker, and he impressed me with even his ground. But I think this is very simple. Manfield's way too big. He's not getting taken down, and he's gonna.
I mean, even if Herman can drag him to the ground, he's not holding him there. No. This guy is an absolute monster. Yeah, just from a physical standpoint, it's going to be tough. Yeah. Now, if this thing does float into the third round somehow, I wouldn't be shocked to see a classic Herman kind of come back.
It could happen. But
I mean, I'm banking on Menefield here. I like him on DraftKings. I like him in a bet. This guy's going to score points, and he's...
Yeah, and I think he's undervalued quite a bit, actually. He's... In just straight odds, he's minus 245, minus 250, and I just...
Yeah, I mean, if Herman wasn't on this winning streak, he'd be a minus 400, minus 450 going into this fight.
Yeah.
There's value on
I like
on
Manfield. He's one of my favorites on the card, and I do think 250 is a steal for him personally.
Yeah.
Whether you want to bet him straight up or just, like I was talking about earlier, get a nice little parlay with him. He's a guy that you parlay two guys that you really like, and you can get almost even odds on him. That's
what do we got Menefield by?
Menefield by KO?
Yeah, or just, doesn't go the distance for him.
Menefield by KO is close to even money, minus 120, minus 130. Fight doesn't go the distance, minus 300. See, I'd rather just take Menefield there just in case he dominates him in a decision. And, let's...
Yeah, I might sprinkle on Menefield by KO. But, yeah, I mean, the bet here is just Menefield wins this fight. If it goes the distance, if it gets finished early, he's the better fighter. He's younger. He's more athletic.
And, Menefield, not as many people were talking about him because he did have that stretch there.
Yeah, the loss to OSP.
Exactly. I think he lost, two in a row. He lost OSP and he lost to Clark. But, he holds knockout wins over Paul Craig and some quality guys, and he had a lot of hype, and I just think this guy's going to run through him, and I still think he's, I don't know if I go as far as saying a contender, a future contender, but he's a guy that's going to be around in the top 15, top 10 of light heavyweight for time to come, and Ed Herman's had a great career. He's 40 years old. This is a really horrible matchup for him.
Yeah.
I'm going to be playing a lot of him in DraftKings, even at his price.
Yeah, 9,200.
But I think he might be the top scorer type of performance we're going to see, or definitely going to be over 100.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely high potential of getting that quick win bonus on DraftKings as well here. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this could end quick. If Herman gets stuffed on an early takedown, he's outmatched on the feet here, and I like Menefield all day here.
Yeah, Herman's the guy that I might throw in one card just because of the potential of I don't think the fight's going the distance either way. If he can magically get a sub, he will be in the optimal lineup, but I'm going to be, 95% on Menefield and pretty much put him in anywhere I can afford him. And even when I'm looking at the top guys that are over $9,000, he's probably my favorite guy that's over $9,000 just in terms of potential to win the fight and potential to score the knockout. And you're also just talking about big boys at light heavyweight.
Yeah, you're getting a finish here.
He's probably my favorite expensive guy. If I'm putting one guy in, he's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Okay. Close fight on the next one. We got Morales versus Rodriguez. Minus 105 for Morales, minus 115 for Rodriguez. So you're still talking about a coin flip from an odds maker's perspective.
I think DraftKings has it about a toss-up as well. Let me see here. We've got Rodriguez at 8,400. I've got Morales down at 7,800. This is a tough fight, man.
It's a close fight.
Rodriguez had some serious hype coming in. Looked decent in his fights. Yeah, it's tough, man. There's not a lot of tape on this guy. We know what he wants to do, though. He's striking. His grappling's good. And then, when I first saw this, I'm all day on Morales. And then you rewatch the fight of him just getting his leg chopped down against Gutierrez in his last fight. And it's it's tough to watch.
And you're coming off, it's kind of like a skewed view where even if you just play the MMA math game, you got Zahabi, and Morales beats Zahabi
Yeah,
fairly
decision,
easily.
I believe.
Yeah, but he looked good. Good. And then you got Rodriguez just got crushed, KO'd by a guy who's really a jiu-jitsu guy in round one. And the MMA math wants you to just jump to Morales. But I'm kind of with you. When I watch the fights, it's closer. I think Rodriguez just had a really shitty performance, but it didn't really show his full skill set.
I think he had the debut jitters. I mean, he looked like he didn't want to be in that octagon with Zahabi, and it showed. I mean, he got kicked immediately, and it was just tough. I think Morales is the more technical striker here. His jab looks better. His punches come in straight, whereas Rodriguez tends to kind of wing his hooks to the side. It's a little, more aggressive. He will definitely put the pressure, but, if you take away the leg kicks on that fight for Morales against him, his stand-ups looked great so far.
Yeah.
Again, though, if this fight goes to the ground, Rodriguez could go to work, man.
Yeah. It's a close fight. I've gone back and forth, but, I think I lean Rodriguez, and I think it literally, for me, comes down to athleticism, and I think Rodriguez is a little more athletic, is going to just dictate where the fight goes a little more, possibly mix some stuff up. Even if his striking's not more technical, I think he's just a little more athletic, a little faster, and I think I like Rodriguez to sneak by on a decision, but low confidence. But that's I think my pick.
Yeah, I'm Morales on a decision here. Again, I'm not betting this fight, man. I could see it going either way.
No. What do we
got?
As
far as DraftKings goes, I might throw a little Morales in if I need somebody at that price.
I will say this, but beyond us not touching it from a betting standpoint, I don't think I'm going to play too much from a DraftKings just because I think they don't reward striking matchups as much. They don't count as enough significant strikes, and you don't get enough points for decision. I do think from an entertainment standpoint, we're going to get a fun scrap.
It's going to be a great fight.
I think it's going to be a really good fight, and for some reason, just the way DraftKings scoring rubric is right now, even these barn burner stand-up fights that are a lot of action, sometimes those guys score 60, 70 points in a win, so a decision win. So I'm not touching on DraftKings, but I'm excited for this fight because I don't know what's going to happen. It's 50-50, and I think it's going to be fun.
It's going to be a fun fight also. You leave it up to the judges at this point in UFC, and they're just they're not consistent, and I'm trying to avoid these decisions as much as possible because nothing would shock me now.
We've gotten burned a few times recently.
So, yeah, tough fight. Exciting though. It's going to be a good one.
This is one I also like. This is one I'm very comfortable saying. Your guess is as good as mine on this one. I just didn't get, when you get the gut feeling when you're watching it, just like, I don't know who's going to win this fight.
Yeah,
I'm going Rodriguez, but I don't know who's going to win this fight.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked by any outcome on that. All right.
This next fight, though.
Bobby Green versus Fiziev. This is probably one of the ones. This might be the fight I'm looking most forward to on the whole card, and it's really because of the prospect that is Fiziev. He's just an amazing striker. He's a guy that would not surprise me if he's going to be, a contender and even a champion in the middle to distant future. His striking is one of the best I've seen in MMA right now. He's smooth. He's as technical as it comes. He has vicious knockout power. He mixes it up. He has incredible leg kicks. He has incredible high kicks. He's a guy that really destroys the body. He's a guy that follows up on his combinations. You're never going to see this guy throw a boring one and back out. It's always coming with a follow-up combination. It's really kind of that next level of people that criticize striking in MMA. Talk about its simplicity, and this is a guy that brings high-level striking mixed in with he doesn't have what the normal kickboxer striker comes where he just has horrible takedown defense. That's not the case with Fiziev. He is so good at his distance control and management that he's been very hard to take down during his career. And I don't know if that's due to him having good grappling or just has such good timing, distance control that he's a tough guy to even close the distance on. And I can't say enough good things. Bobby Green is a vet. You know what you're going to get from Bobby Green in the sense that I wouldn't say he's a tough out for anybody. He's proven that. Tough guy to finish. Only guy I think he's ever finished in his career from via strikes is Dustin Poirier when he came to lightweight. So it's top notch. He's fought the top tier guys for a lot of years. But, you kind of know what you're going to get from Bobby Green. He's a good, well-rounded fighter. He's a solid striker. He's got power in his hands. He's got decent technical ability. He's a guy that can take people down and mix it up when he needs to steal around or if he feels in danger on the feet. He has decent wrestling as well, and he's a well-rounded guy. I really do think this is a big test for Fiziev in the sense that you're getting a veteran, you're getting a guy that has been tested, been around the block, and he's good everywhere. The problem is Fiziev is excellent somewhere, and Bobby Green is good everywhere, and I don't think he's going to be able to take him down, and I think this is going to be a showcase, and I think we're going to get a first or second round knockout, even with how hard it is to finish Bobby Green and how gritty. And I know some people I've been reading really think this is a really close fight or pick 'em, and I think this is going to be a show out for Fiziev, and really, I think Bobby Green is a little bit too willing to strike too because he's not a bad striker, and I think by the time he's going to go diving in for a takedown, it's going to be way too late, and he's going to have been in exchanges, and it's going to be pay the price and get knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you here. Now, taping Fiziev might have been the funnest thing I did all week. This guy is unbelievable on the feet.
Yeah.
His striking, I mean, when you hear his kicks land to the body, I mean, they're just vicious.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, the thing that I don't think anybody's talking about enough is Fiziev's striking defense is amazing. This guy doesn't get hit.
Yeah.
There was a sequence in his last fight, I believe, and the guy he hit the guy with 6 straight body shots and then didn't get hit back.
Yeah.
He does these Matrix-style maneuvers to avoid leg kicks. And, I mean, outside of getting caught once.
And he got knocked out in his first fight in the UFC, and which was super disappointing for me because I was following him pre-UFC, and I did have I'll admit it, maybe this guy's not as good as I thought. And, you know what, after what he's shown in his 3-fight winning streak with some quality names, DeCossi's a really damn good striker also, and he's just looked amazing where I think I don't want to use the word fluke because it's not a fluke. You got knocked out, you're in a compact sport, but I just think that was definitely not the norm. That was the exception there, and I think he got caught, and it happens in MMA. But otherwise, like you said, his defense, other than that lapse and KO, doesn't get hit, and he crushes people.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a fluke. Look, I mean, the guy got kicked in the head. You could see it on his face when he's sitting there after the defeat. He's got a smile on his face like, yeah, I got caught.
Yeah.
But, I mean, pre-UFC, I mean, this guy was a very, very decorated fighter.
Yeah.
His striking's great. And, Bobby Green doesn't get knocked out easily. He's got a great chin. But those body shots will make you quit, man. This isn't about getting knocked out. It's about just defeating somebody in front of you. And I see Green crumble into this guy, man. He fights with his hands down. Like, he's a very nonchalant striker, and his strikes come with power. But when you're fighting like that, and you got to block these body kicks all fight long, man, come third round, man, you're not going to want to be in there anymore with this guy. And he's thick, he's powerful, he's fast. And, look, let's go into Bobby Green, though. I mean,
he
should be on a 4-fight win streak here. I thought he won that fight
against
Moises.
Some momentum. He is riding momentum.
And he stuffed the takedowns from Moises really well in that fight. But Fiziev's not going to try and take this thing to the ground, man. You're going to have a barn burner in the center of the octagon. Bobby Green's going to be confident. He's going to go in there with his hands down. And I got Fiziev finishing him.
Yeah.
Minus 330, I don't think it's enough. And, I know they're giving a little credit to Bobby Green for being the vet here, but, I mean, this is a changing of the guard, man. This is a young fighter coming up, and he's making a name for himself here on this card.
Yeah, minus 300. I agree. I have no problem. I think Fiziev, it's slightly undervalued. I think it should be closer to like minus 400, but I also am very confident in this fight due to the reasons Bobby Green's not a huge knockout puncher. He definitely has it in his hands, but he's not known for KOs. I think he'd have to really beat Fiziev for 3 rounds in a decision, and I don't see it.
He's not outpointing him here.
And I don't see him getting caught, so I like that bet. Obviously, 300's tough to bet straight up, but this is a perfect guy that I like. You parlay this guy with Menfield, and what do we got? What do we got when we parlay that? You're looking at decent odds here, and I love that bet from a safety standpoint. If we go Fazeev and Menfield, yeah, we're almost at even money at -113. That's to me is just
he's definitely a
steal.
big parlay piece for me this week, and I mean I'm gonna probably bet him straight up too. I mean, look, for as far as -300 fighters go, man, this guy's pretty safe here.
Let's see what Fazeev by knockout is.
Also on DraftKings, I think you're going to pay for him. I believe he's 9,300. Let me double check that. 9,300 for Fazeev, and I think he makes value, man.
Wow, look at this. Fazeev by KO, TKO. You get +175 to +190.
I mean, Bobby Green's chin's held up in the past, but this is a different animal he's fighting here, man.
Yeah, he is.
And Fazeev also on DraftKings. I mean, this guy scores.
If he gets the finish, he scores, yeah.
Yeah, he had 108 against Moicano when he got that first round finish.
Yeah.
Not a lot of takedowns, not a lot of control. So I will say, if DraftKings doesn't score his significant strikes very well, he might not make value. But I see him getting the finish here.
You need the finish for value. I'm going to definitely be playing him. But like I kind of alluded to earlier, even if I like Fazeev maybe even more than I like Menfield straight up to get the win.
Yeah, value on DraftKings is on Menfield.
Menfield's got way more value to get that finish or to score more points. The bigger boys versus the small guys, the likelihood of a KO or a finish is so much higher that I do like that. It's tough at 9,300. I'm going to be playing him, but you're not going to be able to get him in all the lineups. Bobby Green, 6,900 if you feel that he's going to be able to eke a decision out or something like that. He's a good play, but I don't see it. And, I'm not
again, he doesn't possess that one punch kind of knockout power, so you're not getting the finish with Bobby Green. And
I'm also, when you look way down there, when you look at 7,000, 6,900, and then you got Derek Lewis at 6,800, if you want to take a flyer on someone, Lewis is your guy, not
and there's a couple down there. I mean,
Bobby
I think
Green.
Ed Herman's got a better shot of getting something done than Bobby Green. I like Osborne, Dos Santos, Leonard. I mean, there's just too many fighters down there.
Yeah, so
I probably won't
it's
have
a pass.
It's a pass from Bobby Green.
All right, let's move on. Let's go.
We're moving into the main card here.
Yeah, great fight. First fight on the card, we got Yadong versus Kenny, and pretty much a toss-up fight. You got Kenny at -120, Yadong at +100. So small favorite for Kenny. And when we go on to DraftKings, you got Yadong at 8,000, Kenny at 8,200. So closest thing you can get to a coin flip here. You know what? This is a fight I'm excited for because this is a scrap, and I actually think both these guys have good futures. This is not almost one guy's going to go up, the other guy's going to go down. Both guys are really young guys making a name for themselves and have showed potential and had some great fights. They both maybe were unable to take that next step. With Yadong just got beat by Josh Phillips in a fight that he was a decent favorite in, and I think Phillips has surprised everyone with his striking and movement and how kind of
Phillips
crazy he is. Phillips is good even with the loss that he just had, but
tough decision there.
It's a tough fight. It was a fun fight. It was a close fight. It wasn't like he got blown out, even though it was a clear decision loss. But Yadong's solid, man. He's got good wrestling. He's quick. He's got good striking. For me, though, I just think Kenny is a little bit better everywhere. I think Kenny's coming off a split decision loss to Dominic Cruz, which was a big step up in competition for him. And I did have Cruz in that fight, but it was close. I could see it going either way. And again, this is one of those where I think it's really close. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't think anyone's getting blown out here. I think Kenny is going to be just a little bit better everywhere. I think if this fight stays standing, I think his leg kicks are brutal. He's really well at mixing in takedowns. He can do a lot of damage from the top, and he has good jiu-jitsu, but it's even what I like even more about Kenny is just he's very smooth when he mixes it up. I think he's going to catch Yadong and just flow really nicely. I think he's going to win a lot of the striking exchanges. I think he's a little bit faster. I think he's a little bit crisper, and I think he's going to have well-timed takedowns in every round and just steal the rounds and comfortably win a decision. I feel pretty comfortable about that.
Yeah, I like Kenny here, and I think, as for as good as both these guys' wrestling background is, I think this thing stays on the feet for the most part. I think Kenny can piece him up. I will say I think Kenny's takedowns are based off timing. He really sets it up, throws some good strikes, changes levels, times them well, and they're smooth takedowns. Whereas Yadong has shown good takedowns as well, but he's overpowering guys. He is using good grappling, and then he's just really been tossing around people that don't have that background. I don't see him just throwing Kenny to the ground if they get into a grappling exchange here. I see Kenny stopping some of these takedowns, and like I said, I see this thing standing up for 3 rounds, and yeah, I got Kenny by decision here. I don't think anybody's getting the finish in this one.
I know a lot of people are picking Yadong in this. I've seen a lot of people picking Yadong, and I don't think it's an outrageous claim to have, especially that, like, when you look on paper, I think the skill sets are really close. Just slightly better, but I just think the way it's going to play out is being that one step faster. He's going to 30-27 wouldn't surprise me at all. And
either way,
as fun as it's going to be and as good as it's going to be, like, I really like Kenny here. I like him for a bet too. -120, I'd bet Kenny straight up, and it's not with massive confidence that I'm saying he's going to blow him out of the water. I just think I don't see a finish happening. I don't see the danger of fully getting caught and getting KO'd. It's possible, of course, but Yadong, he has power, but they're light guys. They're 135ers, and I think Kenny's just better everywhere, and I feel very comfortable. Like we were talking about earlier, though, the judges have come up with some wacky decisions, but at the value, I personally probably would have Kenny at like a -180, -190 in my value based on the skill set difference, and I'm very comfortable with -120 bet on Kenny. I would bet him straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to touch too much on the bet. I think it's a close fight, but I do like Kenny here. As far as DraftKings go, I feel like you're always in that position where you got to play the 8,200 or 8,000 fighter, and so I'm going to have a good amount of this fight. I think volume-wise, I mean, Kenny does score.
He can score. Like we're looking at the Wood decision, which was a fight that very much plays out like I think this fight will in terms of just the pace of that fight was crazy, whether you thought Wood deserved it or not, because it was a very close fight. I think the pace is going to be very similar in this fight. Yadong can keep it up. They both have the cardio. They're going to be nonstop striking, leg kicks nonstop. You're going to get takedowns. The guy's going to get up from a takedown quickly. It's going to be a pace. And in that fight with a decision win, he scored 92. And it's at 8,200, even in a decision, if you're going to get over 90 points, I think he's a really good play there.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to need to fit one of these guys in, especially if you want to play the top of the board.
Yeah.
This is going to be a must-play fight for a lot of you guys on your lineups. And let's take a look at Yadong's scoring here, but I think he throws massive volume as well when he does get into these barn burners.
Yeah, earlier in his career when he was facing a little bit lighter competition, he was getting finishes, and he was scoring over hundreds. His decisions are kind of in the 70s. The Cheetah Vera fight was a very close, fun fight, too. Scored 76. So, it's a tough one. I'm going to be much heavier on Kenny. First off, I like Kenny to win, probably more than the odds kind of show there. Secondly, I do think Kenny will have more success in the grappling, which makes me think if Kenny gets the decision, there's a couple takedowns here there's going to add up for his score, and he's going to be closer to 85-90 as opposed to getting in that 70-75, which I could see Yadong if he ekes out a decision. So definitely going to be heavier on Kenny first because I think he's going to win. Second, because I think he would score more in a win than Yadong would.
Yeah, and I mean, either way, this is going to be a fun fight.
It is going to be a fun
good
fight.
Way to start the main card, and yeah, I mean, we're going to get volume out of both these guys, and good lead in here to the next fight.
All right, next fight we got Tisha Torres versus Angela Hill, and this is a rematch from
6 years ago.
Yeah, 6 years ago, and it was one of the most boring fights in UFC history. It was a garbage fight.
Yeah, I think Torres won that fight by decision.
And Hill still thinks it's a robbery, even though I think every media member scored it for Torres.
Yeah, no way this was a robbery at all. She got beat. Look, Hill's also been claiming steroids for Torres at the time. This was, pre-Zamba testing. Look, I mean, Hill likes to go out there and physically dominate her opponents. And when she's able to do that, she looks really good. That's not the case here. Torres is an absolute specimen at that weight class.
She's a beast.
She's a beast. She's strong.
Strong, heavy, good wrestling, athletic.
I just don't see much change. I know it's been 6 years and they've gotten better, both of them, but I see this fight going exactly how the last one went. I got Torres by decision here.
So Torres is a minus. She's gone up a little bit from. I think she opened minus 140. She's minus 150 on some of these providers like FanDuel. Get Hill at plus 130. It's a close fight. It is a close fight. I wouldn't be surprised, especially this screams. There's I think almost a 95% probability this goes to decision.
Yeah, and I mean Hill looked like she was in good shape, but she's definitely going to be the smaller fighter in this one, and it just doesn't play well for her. I mean, it's going to stay on the feet. I think they're going to strike, but I mean, I like Torres here. I'm not going to bet this fight very heavily just because.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet this fight because this fight to me, I'm all with you. I'm picking Torres. I think it's a tough stylistic matchup for Hill. This fight screams to me split decision though. Just close fight, hard rounds to score, boring clinches against the cage. And what do you score? Aggression? Are you scoring a couple non-significant strikes? I like Torres to win the decision. I think for the judging, if I was super confident in correct judging, I'd probably go with Torres. But this just screams close decision to me. I'm comfortable picking Torres, no problem. I'm not comfortable betting on this fight because it's going to be a close decision, and I have no idea what the judges are going to go with.
Yeah, and I'm going to be fading this on DraftKings as well. We're going to get a decision here.
Yeah.
You don't know who's going to win. They're not priced super cheap. I mean, if you like Torres...
Torres is $8,700.
Yeah, I mean, you're paying a premium for a chick that you think is going to win.
And she scored a lot in her last one, but she got a first-round finish, 116 versus Hughes. In her decisions, we're in the 70s, and she got a couple 80, 90s there. But, I think it's going to be a grind of a fight because of their styles.
70 points in a victory.
Yep, and Hill 7,500. Even in her decision wins, she's getting 77. Even if you wanted, some of the possible robberies like Watterson, Gadella, which, close fights, even in those runs, and Watterson was a 5-round fight. And even if she would have gotten that decision, she would have only scored 89 in a 5-rounder. I'm probably a pass.
I'm a pass. I mean, if you think Hill's going to win this thing, I mean, she might be able to get you value at 7,500.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm passing on this fight. I don't feel great about it either way. As far as the fights on the main card go, I'm probably least excited for this one.
And honestly, if I need to fit something in DraftKings, if I'm going to play lineup, I might play Hill more than Torres just because of value. But, again, I don't feel great about it. All right. The next two fights we got on the card are probably, I'm going to be talking out of my ass here because I still haven't made a decision probably on who I think's going to win. So, and I flip-flopped. So the first one we got is Chiesa versus Luque. And it's a minus 105 for Chiesa, minus 115 for Luque. This is a extremely important fight in the welterweight division, especially when you got Usman crushing people and, we're having repeat rematches. A fresh name, a fresh contender is just as important right now as your actual ranking in the division. And these are two guys that I think if whoever wins this fight could possibly sneak into a title shot after Colby Covington, especially with the UFC's complete lack of wanting to give Edwards a title shot, it seems, or is one win away. And it's a really important fight for both their careers. They both, they've had a decent amount of fights in the UFC. They're both veterans right now. They're not old veterans, but they are seasoned guys that have had a lot of wars in the octagon and have kind of earned their keep and fought the hard way to get into this contention, and can't speak to how important this is for both their careers. This is a must-win fight for both of them. And let's get into the intangibles. So,
yeah,
Luque's a freaking finisher, man. I think he's got like a 95% finish rate.
He's an animal on the feet.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think the UFC would love for Luque to win this fight because he is definitely sellable.
He's way more entertaining.
Way more entertaining. Now, he's a specialty guy. He wants to get you to the ground. He's going to grind you out with his wrestling.
And this is a guy that made lightweight for the majority of his career and literally looked like, the machinist, Christian Bale, was just cutting way too much weight. Was a good fighter, was even a contender, but had some bad losses. Had some submissions to guys when he kind of got too aggressive and put himself in a bad position, and kind of seemed like he had reached his ceiling, I want to say. He looked like he was a good top 10 guy, but was never going to make the jump. decides to go to welterweight. Somehow, for a guy who fought at 155, is a massive welterweight. Huge guy, tall, brings in a lot of size, and has looked fantastic. Looked amazing. It's definitely a story of guys overcutting in MMA, and it's Chiesa's more in his natural weight class, and he looks significantly better and took his career to the next level. He's on a 4-fight win streak, and he's right there and looks like a guy who's a real contender.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely ragdolled Neil Magny in his last fight.
As an underdog, too.
An underdog.
People thought Magny were going to win that fight, and
yeah, I mean, we were heavy on Chiesa in that fight.
We were heavy on Chiesa.
Now, I will say, I think Magny's a lot easier to take down to the ground than Luque is.
Yeah.
And I know people are scrolling back through Luque's history to see the last time he really fought a wrestler. And he did get wrestled. I think it was about 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was an old fight. So it's his 2 losses in the UFC. It's Gravely, and he had a wrestle-heavy game plan, and, Luque couldn't stop it. And then it was Leon Edwards, who is Leon Edwards is a really well-rounded guy, but I think Leon Edwards, if you think Leon Edwards, you think great striker. And he took him down at will and dominated him. Now, this was years ago, and Luque, I think, he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He has really underrated ground game, really underrated submissions, and I think he could do damage there. But I think this is it almost like it does them a disservice to call this a pure striker versus grappler one-dimensional fight, because they've both grown quite a bit in MMA and are well-rounded. But I do think the way this fight will play out is very much, it's as simple as that. Is this fight going to take place on the feet, or is this fight going to take place on the ground? Is Luque's movement and takedown defense improved enough and his size gonna keep us on the feet? I think he's gonna crush him and cruise and probably get a finish in the 3rd round. Probably, I think he'll break him down. If you think Chiesa can get the takedown, I think he's gonna cruise, and it's a really tough one. I've talked to you about this, and I've gone back and forth. On paper, my brain is telling me to pick Luque. My brain says, this guy's got good jiu-jitsu. He's well-rounded. He's not an easy guy to take down. Even Chiesa's takedowns, he's much more of a gritty takedown guy. He doesn't have this amazing, he's not an amazing power double leg. It's more of a grinding to the fence, technique, and almost persistence to get people to the ground. So on paper, I think Luque has more ways to win. He could get up. He has a pretty good gas tank when he wants. He's shown it. Not that he needs to show it because he gets so many finishes. And he's going to crush him on the feet. But there's just a part of me, my gut is telling me that Chiesa has improved so much that he's going to get the takedown. And I'm ultimately going to pick Chiesa to win this fight.
Yeah, I mean, game planning here is going to be huge. I mean, the one thing you get with these guys that have this jiu-jitsu background is they're willing to go to the ground with wrestlers because they feel confident off their back. Now, Luque, for the most part, is pretty much tried to stand with everybody. He knows where his strengths are.
Yeah.
But this is going to go up against the cage. And I can see Chiesa dragging him to the ground. And he's not going to give up that top control once he gets it.
No, he's great. His control's great.
Oh, he just weighs on guys. Great.
And he's grown a lot smarter in, some of those lightweights losses I was talking about. He really did get over aggressive. He was very aggressive for positioning, aggressive for finishes, and it put him in some bad positions. In his Magny fight, he was so patient. It was control and dominance over going broke for the submission, and I think that's huge here, where the last thing I think Chiesa wants is if he gets a takedown, goes for a submission, misses it, and lets Luque back on his feet, and the complete dynamic of the fight changes versus, hey, if you get him down, don't let him up, win the round, pass guard slowly and methodically. And I think he's matured as a fighter, and he's been doing that more. And if he gets it to the ground, I think he's gonna have a comfortable win. If he can't, I think he's gonna get lit up. It's a coin flip, but I am going. My pick is Chiesa, and for DraftKings, it's a no-brainer if you think that. First off, it's a must-play fight. And the reason I say that is if Luque wins, Luque's finishing him. And he's going to be a 110 type of knockout. If Chiesa wins, I could see a submission, but even if you get a decision, it's going to be a dominant decision. He's going to get the takedowns, and he's going to rack up control time. He's going to rack up takedowns. I could see Luque, especially at first, getting back up. You're going to get 3 takedowns in what the equivalent of one takedown is with a persistent takedown against the fence. I think it's a must-play fight either way. Chiesa's got better value at 7,700, so I'll probably be heavier. But this is for me, this is probably like a 65-35 fight where I'll play Chiesa, but I'm definitely gonna play Luque where I can fit him. He is expensive. He's at 8,500. I'm not expensive, but much harder to fit in. But great for DraftKings. Guys are finishers. Guys come to, and it's the pressure of the fight too. They know they need to put on a show. They're not gonna.
This is a big fight, and I think one of the big X factors here is just going to be gas tank.
Yeah.
Luque gassed against Edwards.
Yeah.
You could see it.
True.
The takedown got easier. It's not like Edwards did anything spectacular to drag that thing back to the ground. It was easy because Luque was gassed.
Yeah.
Chiesa, like I said, I think just went 5 rounds here with Magny. His gas tank is impressive, man.
And it was almost like he has the wrestler's grit, where there was a point in that Magny fight, and it was where I felt like Chiesa was slowing down, and he was, he's gotten so many takedowns, and it was like, Magny has an incredible gas tank. Magny might have the best gas tank in welterweight. And there was just one spot, I think it was in the 3rd or 4th round, where I'm like, oh man, is the tide turning here? And Chiesa just had that mental, nope, I'm going to get my second win, and I'm going to do it again. And that's...
I think Luque's got about 4 minutes here in the first round to really stuff a takedown and lay it on him and get that early finish. If Chiesa gets a takedown early and grinds him through the first round, I think he just continues it in second and third. And
I was gonna say I could see, if this was a 5-rounder, it'd be a no-brainer. Fight doesn't go to decision. 3, I could see Chiesa just grinding him. I don't think Luque has a hell of a lot of heart.
He's not getting finished.
I don't think he gives up a submission here in 3 rounds.
No,
he definitely will get. If Luque wins, I think he finishes for sure.
What do we got Luque by TKO here? We got him plus 270. It looks like.
Yeah, it's not a bad line at all.
Look, if you're gonna play it, that's the way you play it here. I'm not saying Luque wouldn't win a decision if it stayed on the feet for 3 rounds, but the odds of him keeping it up for that long, that's tough.
And I got Chiesa here. I'd even play inside the distance because plus 250 versus plus 270, just in case, just like that Tyron Woodley fight. You basically finished him on the feet, but you ended up getting a submission because you just grabbed a rocked opponent. Just in case, I think I'd play inside the distance instead of the TKO because the values are so close there, if you were playing that line.
Yeah. I mean, I like Chiesa here. Definitely can see the scenario where Luque knocks him out in the first round and just looks absolutely dominant.
Yeah.
That's right. And you're going to know very quickly
which way it's going to go.
Which way this is going, so I would definitely be on live betting here. If you start to see Chiesa take this thing to the ground, man, you could just lay on him. And opposite goes. If Luque's stuffing takedowns, I mean...
Yeah, I think you might be screwed on a Luque live bet just because...
Might end too quick.
It might end too quick, or the odds might just be out of control. But either way, you're right. Live betting's the way. Must play for DraftKings for the value, for the reasons we said. I'm not betting it because I said I'm also so torn on it where, for the first week this fight got announced, I was so sure that I was going to be picking Luque. And as it got closer, and I just flip-flopped, and I'm ultimately going with Chiesa. So I've gone back and forth. I wouldn't bet this fight personally. If you got a more serious lean, you do have value. Both of them, they have a strong case. Both of them have a strong case for why they're going to win, and you're getting them at even money. So if you have a strong feeling, it is a good bet. But for me, I've gone back and forth so much. I'm not touching it. Ultimately, I'll go with Chiesa. I'll say that on the record. But it's not going to be surprising either way that fight goes. I think it'll be dominating either way, but we don't know which way. All right. Next one, which is another one I've flip-flopped quite a bit, just like we were saying, is Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munoz. I think this is going to be an awesome fight. You got Aldo as a slight favorite, minus 120. Munoz is at plus 100. On DraftKings, actually, Aldo's actually a little bit more expensive than I figured he'd be. He's at 8,600, and you got Munoz coming on the other end at 7,600. So DraftKings was surprising to me. I was hoping this fight was like an 8,200, 8,000, and I think there'd be quite a bit more value on Aldo there. But close fight. For me, this one really comes down to how much do you think Aldo has left in the gas tank, and it really is that easy for me, where I don't think there's a single person that's going to argue that Munoz at any stage in his career would have beaten a prime Aldo. It's not a close fight.
It's not even
so
close.
the question is, where are we at right now with Aldo's career, and what does he have left? You know, he's dropped to 135. Obviously, his big reign was at 145. His cuts look pretty good. He looks healthy. He looks in good shape. He definitely has a cardio issue, but I don't think that's unique to the weight cut or 135. I think that just has to do with aging and his style. The guy never had a strong weight cut. He just did so much damage. But he even in his most dominant runs, he was always fading in round 4 and 5. Not enough to get finished, but he lost round 5 to people. I think the one that sticks out to me was what's the guy's name? The kickboxer from Canada that was Mark Hominick was just got dominated in that fight and won the 5th round dominantly on Aldo. So the gas tank's always been an issue, even with prime Aldo. Luckily, it's a 3-round fight. If this was a 5-round fight, I'd be probably much heavier on Munoz. But 3-round fight, Aldo needs to win 2 rounds. I don't see him getting finished. He looked pretty damn good against Chito Vera in his last fight. And honestly, it's crazy sounds. I thought the best I've seen Jose Aldo recently was his fight with Peter Yan. And when you kind of look at the end result, you go, oh, he got annihilated. He got viciously TKO'd in the 5th round there. But I thought he looked incredible exchanging with probably the best striker at 135 right now. And it was a dogfight in the first 3 rounds, and he looked fast, he looked brutal, his body shots, his combinations, his leg kicks were back, and, you know, he possibly could have even won a 3-round fight with Yan at that time. I think he got round 1, I thought he was winning, then he got taken down, hurt his rib, might have given it to Yan. Round 2, I think he won comfortably, and then round 3 he lost, and it was close, and it was kind of, you could see the tide turning quickly, and it went very downhill fast from there. But he looks crisp, and you know, my lean is that Aldo still has a little bit left in the tank. He's going to win 2 rounds and get a decision. To Munoz has looked fantastic too. He's a tough out for anyone. He probably should have deserved the win over Frankie Edgar that he lost. It was a close fight, but you know, he looked a little bit crisper. His leg kicks have been on point lately. That's pretty much how he won the fight with
Jimmy Rivera.
Jimmy Rivera, he was kind of getting pieced up in the boxing with Jimmy Rivera. The guy lands such heavy leg kicks. It was 2 or 3 kicks, and the fight was over, basically. I mean, he ended up winning a decision, but it was Jimmy Rivera's leg was done.
Yeah, he broke him in the first round.
It's done. It was a great fight.
I'm with you here. Now, if this was 5 rounds, Munoz all day. The thing I really, really like to see from Aldo in his last fight against Vera was the tide turned in the 2nd round. He loses.
Yeah.
3rd round, he comes out. He knows he's gassing. Immediately backpacks Vera for the next 4.5 minutes of that fight.
That's true.
That's just fighter IQ. That comes from being a veteran.
Yeah.
You know your strengths. He knew if they stood in that 3rd round, he was going to get pieced up and lose that fight.
Yeah.
In the 1st round, man, his strikes are straight. His kicks, he checks leg kicks very well. So look, Munoz does not want to get into a kicking war with Aldo.
Yeah, as good as Munoz's leg kicks are, you don't want to trade leg kicks with Jose Aldo.
And he's going to come to the body too. He's going to
the best
break it
leg
out.
kicker in the game. Aldo, when he wants to leg kick, it's second to none. And Munoz, the X factor here too is, Munoz, as good as a strikeman, he's knocked out Cody Garbrandt, so his striking's gone far. But his bread and butter originally when he got in the UFC, he's a grappler. He's actually a jiu-jitsu guy. He's really good on the ground and got decent takedowns. Kind of fell in love with his striking later. So that's always I've seen people talking about that. Is that the X factor? I don't think so. I don't think so. And the reason is Aldo is one of the hardest guys to take down in the sport forever. You don't take down Jose Aldo. He's a freak athlete. He's got such control of his hips and such athletic hips. And his leg kicks. It's just the guy doesn't get taken down. I don't personally think grappling is going to be a factor. And if grappling is a factor, I think Aldo's going to be so gassed that Munoz was already winning and got him down in the 3rd round. I don't think that's going to turn the tide of the fight.
That's my concern with the grappling, though, is that Aldo turned to it when he was gassed and he needed a round.
He's not going to be able to do that.
I don't think he's going to be able to do that here.
He won't. You don't want to go there. If he's tired, he doesn't want to go to the ground with Munoz.
So Aldo's path to victory here is you got to take 1 and 2,
Yep.
and you got to hold on in 3. Because, yeah, you're not going to be able to grapple with Munoz. Now, Aldo's got the sounder striking. I think, I definitely think he wins round 1 here. I'm torn on this fight, man. His inability, I think, to go to that grappling has me leading Munoz. But it's tough to go against Jose Aldo, though, man, in a 3-round fight here.
I'm going Aldo. And the other thing is, Aldo has so many years of fighting, and he's a veteran of the sport. He's clearly slowed down a little bit, but it's Aldo's not that old. He's what did we say? He's
34.
34, and he's definitely slowed down. He definitely has the fighter years, but it's not like he's 40, 45, or your gas tank just can't be the same, or your reflexes slowed down that much. He's not that old, and the same thing is Munoz is not that young. Munoz, I think he's the same age. I think Munoz is 34 also. Let's double check that right now.
Yeah, let's see if we can get an age on that guy. Also, though, I do want to point out, Munoz's track record as of recent. He's just been fighting animals lately.
Yeah, he does. He's got a hard.
Let's see how
34.
He's 34 as well.
Yeah,
so they're
exactly.
the same age.
Exactly. So it's not. This isn't the young taking over the old type of fight. It's evenly matched. I do think Munoz has more in the tank. Probably has a little more to fight for, if we're going to be honest. I think he has a more clear path back to the title than Aldo. Aldo's kind of been there, done it all.
Yeah, it's tough. He's got the loss to Sterling, and then he had the loss to Edgar, which
didn't lose.
Probably didn't lose that one. And had he won that fight, we'd be having a completely different conversation here on his career projectile. But
yeah, and it's a close match. Again, this is one that was super close. I'm not betting it. I'm picking Aldo. I think he's going to win 1 and 2 and survive 3. I wouldn't be one bit surprised if Munoz won. I wouldn't even be one bit surprised if Munoz blew him out of the water. If there really is, it will happen eventually. Aldo will slow down. I haven't seen that. I don't think there's going to be a steep drop off. There could be, and it's coming eventually. But I'm confident Aldo takes 2. DraftKings, it's tough for me. I don't see Aldo getting the finish. I wish he was at 8,200. 86 is a little much. From a DraftKings perspective, I would play more Munoz than I would play Aldo. I'm not huge on the fight. I think it's going to go to decision. I think, if we're looking at Munoz versus Rivera, he only scored 68 points in what I thought was a pretty dominant and fun, fast-paced fight. She only scored 68. I don't think there's going to be any takedowns. I don't think there's going to be a finish unless really Aldo gasses. So
yeah, I'm
probably
not touching it.
We're probably not playing that much. Munoz has more value if we were, but
yeah, I won't be playing any Aldo. He's just cost too much for what you're going to get out of him.
Yeah.
I'll be playing some Munoz because I know we're going to be needing to squeeze in some 7,600 fighters here.
Yeah, and he could win.
And
it's a
he could be a
50-50
winner.
fight. Yeah.
But yeah, great fight though. Aldo's legacy. Munoz is coming. It's just going to be a great co-main event.
It'll be fun. All right, we're going to the main event. The main event.
Fun fight, man.
Derek Lewis versus Gain. Doesn't get much better than that. Not the fight everybody. I think it's funny that we're finally here, and there was such a level of disappointment when the fight first got announced because everybody wanted to see Lewis versus Ngannou. And obviously, everything that's going on with the UFC and Ngannou, they made this interim belt, which a lot of people weren't happy with. And when the fight first was there, it was, oh, man, Gain instead of Ngannou. But now that we're actually here to this fight, super excited. Super excited. It's a clash of styles. You have a tactician and, maybe not only just the current heavyweight, but one of the most technical guys we've seen in heavyweight, period. A guy that's that big and moves like he's like a lightweight and fights like he's a lightweight. He doesn't overcommit to his strikes. He's in and out. He's quick. He's well-rounded. He mixes it up well. He doesn't get hit. It's a fun style to watch for heavyweight. Can be boring.
Rosenstrike fight.
When he's playing too defensively. When he's offensively, he's fun. The Dos Santos
Volkov
fight. The Volkov fight was not bad. It was good. Yeah, the Rosenstrike fight is definitely a concern here because he was afraid of he was clearly the more technical guy. He was clearly the faster guy, and he was worried about the one-punch knockout, and he fought a safe, boring fight. And I don't blame him for that. I get why the fans are mad, but he's trying to win a title here. I don't blame him for his style.
Yeah, he fights smart. Now we got
Lewis on the other hand.
We got the people's champ here,
exactly.
man. This guy
in Houston,
in front of his hometown. This guy is fun to watch. He's fun to listen to. I love his interviews.
Yeah, he's...
Look, you know what you're getting from this guy, though.
Yeah.
And that guy's going to plant 2 feet in the ground, and he's going to throw that, that uppercut or that overhand right, and he's going to try and put Gane's lights out.
And, I mean, we're talking about, there's only one other guy in the entire sport that you could even argue hits as hard as Lewis and it's Ngannou. And it's, these are the 2 guys that are probably the 2 hardest hitters we've seen in maybe ever, and at least in decades. And, we got to go back to the Pride days to see people that were hitting that hard, just one punch KO power. So, you can't say enough about Lewis from his personality. He almost plays it up more than it is. So Lewis just plays the role of, I rolled out of bed today, and I don't take this seriously, and I just have 0 skills, and now I'm going to go knock this guy out, and this guy's going to beat the crap out of me for 2.5 rounds, and then I'm going to decide that I want to knock him out before I go home, and that's what I'm going to do. So you don't get his personality mixed with his style. It's just so entertaining. He's the king of comeback victories. He has the ultimate, X factor when it comes to fights. It doesn't matter what is happening in the fight. He's got that knockout power and that will. A lot of people always talk about the power. It's not just the power. You can't get the crap beat out of you, and you have to have a certain personality to be like, I'm fine and I'm still going to win this fight. So he has that grit, that he's tenacious on. I don't care what happens. You're going to need to hit me with a baseball bat, or you're going to need to kill me, because I'm going to hit. All I need to do is hit you once and I'm going to win. So fun guy, such a great personality, such a great Houston, such a great crowd for him that we've seen. He wants to put on a show. He's, the thing that scares me a little bit, which not that it's so different than his normal style, but he feels the pressure of putting on a show. I don't even want to say he feels the pressure to win. He's talked about, I will not put on a Ngannou Lewis performance, and I don't care win, lose, or draw. Fans are going to get a show. That's a little scary to me, because it's like, Lewis, you got to win. You got to focus on whatever it takes to win, and he's going to need to be aggressive anyways to get the finish here. He's clearly outmatched from a technical striking standpoint. I think he's outmatched on the ground. Not that Gane really brings it to the ground, but when Gane has brought it to the ground, he's looked great. He gets submissions. He's powerful. He's athletic. It's pretty straightforward here. If this goes to decision or just goes the way it almost should on paper, Gane should win easily. But the fights don't play out on paper. Fights play out in the octagon, and you got Lewis, who wouldn't surprise me one bit, KO'd Gane, especially if he's going for broke,
Yeah, let me throw out there first off. I'm rooting for Lewis
all
all day here.
Me too.
Personal feelings, nothing would make me happier tomorrow night than watch him knock Gane's head off his shoulders.
Agreed.
With that being said, though, the line's not wrong here.
No.
I think they got Gane at minus 360, minus 380 maybe right now.
Yeah.
On paper, he should win this fight. A lot of people are claiming he's similar to Blades for Lewis, but I don't see that. Blades looked slower than he should have. He went straight in and straight out with his striking, and he forced the wrestling there in that round, and he got caught with the uppercut for it. When you watch Gane fight, this guy, he takes great angles. His leg kicks are vicious.
Yeah.
He's bringing power. He moves fast. I don't think he's going to force a takedown. If it happens to go to the ground, obviously you're going to see domination. And I believe he's patient. Now, you could tell in the Volkov fight immediately he didn't respect Volkov's power, and he started to bring the fight to him. Versus the Rosenstrike fight, he did fear the power, and that's why he, stuck to the outside. He won that fight, technically.
Mm-hmm.
Lewis, on the other hand, though, is not going to stand there like Rosenstrike stood there.
No, he's going to go for it.
At some point, he's going to come for it. And so the people thinking, Cyril's going to win this thing 50-45 decision, I don't see that outcome happening at all. At some point, Houston's going to pump up Lewis, and that guy's going to go for broke.
You might get finished doing it.
And he might get finished doing it.
Yeah.
I think this fight's minus 200 inside the distance.
Yeah, minus 200 fight doesn't go to decision. Not a bad line.
Love that bet. Now, one, if you're betting Lewis here, do not bet Lewis at plus 290, because you can just scroll on down and get him at about
400.
Plus 400 by KO. And that is the
Much
only
better.
path to
Yeah, it's a
victory
much
for him.
better bet. He's not winning a decision. He's not getting a submission.
No, he's winning by TKO here.
Yeah, TKO KO. So plus 400. And to be honest with you, as much as on paper I like Gain, you have to factor in heavyweights. And getting a guy that's in the top 3 of the division, top 2 of the division at plus 400 for KO, there's value there.
There is value. I mean, I'm not betting Gain. As much as I think he's going to win,
Yeah, I'm not touching Gain.
I'm not laying a minus 360 on a guy that could get knocked out with one punch.
Yeah, my official pick on paper is Gain. I think I will bet Lewis by KO at plus 400. A little bet there, just because there's too much value when you're talking about heavyweights. And as much as we're talking about Gain's advantage on paper, like I was talking about earlier, Lewis downplays his actual skill set.
His hand speed's incredible.
He's not some crappy brawler. He's a martial artist. He's a mixed martial artist. He definitely, his style appears that he's not as athletic as he is, but it's wrong. He's an athletic, big guy that can move. He does have technique. He has good boxing. He has good hands. Plus 400 is a good bet there from a value standpoint, even though I will lean Gone on the actual pick.
Yeah, I don't know if Gane's taking this guy serious enough, man.
Yeah, it's a concern.
He claims he's going to put on this master class, and if everything went smooth in his way, yeah, he would. But you've got a guy, man, he's got an entire city behind him here, and I know, MMA is different than, football and these other sports with the home crowd gives you this massive advantage, but, when you got a guy that's just an emotional fighter like Lewis is,
Give him a second win, no doubt about it.
he's going to bring a little something extra for hometown, Yeah, I don't know, man. Obviously, on paper, Gone all day long. I think Lewis gets this thing done, man, by knockout. I'm going to definitely play the plus 400. On DraftKings at 68, 6,900 for Lewis.
Yeah, I think he's the cheapest fighter there is. So he's 6,800. I think he's a great play. I mean, if he wins, there's no possibility he's not in the optimal lineup. So if you're playing tournament style, he's as good as it gets. And then honestly, on the flip side,
most expensive fighter on the card.
Most expensive guy are Gone. I will say though, because of the possibility of the finish, especially with how kind of balls to the wall Lewis goes, I'm going to be playing Gone. I even, and it's like funny, even in his boring fights, which was the Rosenstrike fights, he scored 94. He throws a lot of volume. He throws in volume. He makes up takedowns. He does score. So
you got 5 rounds here, and if it goes 5 rounds, I mean, I see this guy getting the finish here.
So it is a must play fight for me if you can afford it. Obviously, 9,500 is going to be pretty tough to score. I'm going to have a lot of Lewis, and I'm going to have a lot of Gain. I'll probably be 50-50 if I can be on this fight from DraftKings. Maybe not. I'm not going to be able to afford that, but get as much of that fight in as you can. You want to play any 5-rounders, any main eventers you're going to want to play on DraftKings. There's just way more time to score, more value there. But we're looking at a finish most likely, and we're looking that both guys are going to be trading. So
yeah, look, if you're going to lay big money on this fight, I mean, you're going fight doesn't go the distance, minus 200. It's a great line. And yeah, I'm sprinkling in on Lewis. It's going to be a fun fight, man. I'm pumped for this thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be standing up in front of the TV, but yeah, this is going to be a good one.
I'll be rooting for Lewis.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Lewis.
Unless I'm about to win the $200,000 on DraftKings and I got Gone, I'll be rooting for Lewis. So, yeah, that kind of is our wrap from a fight by fight. Let's just maybe do a quick recap on maybe our best bets or best value picks, and then talk about the best value on DraftKings. So, just to circle back, if we're going down to the bottom, I know Corey is very big on Munoz.
I like Munoz. He's one of my top bets for the day, and I think he'll make value on DraftKings. But yeah, as far as betting goes, there's a couple fights here. I mean, Munoz is a big one for me.
And he's a minus 300. I like Munoz. I think he's going to clearly win. I'm not betting as heavy as Corey is on that one. Corey likes him. Then we have the reverse where I'm big on Johns. I think the value's different. I think Johns is going to cruise. I'm going to be betting Johns at minus 210. Corey kind of wants to lay off that fight.
Yeah, it's a dangerous one for me. And, yeah, I mean, it could go either way for me.
Then we got probably, one of the best bets of the entire card is Menifield at minus 240. Not only do I think that's massive value straight up, he's great for a parlay, great for a finish by KO. So I'm going to be playing a lot on Menifield, and he's a great DraftKings, like we said, even at his price, he's almost a guaranteed finish.
Yeah, as far as 9,000 fighters go, I mean, he's going to score.
Next up, we got Fiziev. Fiziev's my play of the day is the parlay I spoke about earlier, which is just Fiziev and Menafield straight up. You're going to get about -110 odds straight up, and that's the bet of the day for me. I'm going to go very heavy on that.
Yeah, I like Fiziev. You know, and then you get into the main card. The main card's tough. We got a lot of 50-50 fights there that I'm not touching.
Now, like we said, obviously there was that value on Lewis by KO, but even that's more of a flyer. My only bet on the main card is going to be Casey Kenny, and he was -120, and like I said, I think he's more in the -180, -200 range. So straight up bet on him. I'm probably not going to include him in parlays. He's already got good value on himself. I don't want to go too crazy on him. That's a bet straight up, and I'll be laying a decent sized bet on Casey Kenny.
Yeah, and then as far as DraftKings go, I mean, I don't want to say there's a single fighter here that you have to play, but there's a couple fights you got to be in. You got to be in that main event.
Yep.
You really want to be in that Chiesa Luque fight.
Yep.
And then again, I'm on Munoz, so to the first fight of the night, I think that guy gets it done, man. I think he's on optimal.
Yeah, when we're looking down, if we're just going real quick, so I'm not saying these guys are definitely going to win. For when you look at the underdogs, if you on Derek Lewis, he's got, he's the cheapest fighter, 6,800. He will be on the optimal lineup. You got Osborne, who we actually picked straight up.
Yeah, great play
just
at
to win
7,200.
Not only are we saying that he's value, we picked him to win the fight straight up. He's at 7,200. That's a great one. And then for as far
Leonardo as well, even though we don't think she's going to score great, if you got a winner at 70, what do we got here? 7,400.
Yep.
She could definitely pile up the strikes in that fight.
And then again, obviously we said it's a must-play fight either way, but getting Chiesa at 7,700 is huge value. Then when we go to the favorites, we're beating a dead horse here, but Menafield is the play for the favorite. If you can only afford one, that's the one I'm playing.
Yeah, he's got the highest potential. I think Fiziev might be the safest play now if you're getting in the 50-50s or the cash plays. I like Fiziev. I think he's safe. He's going to score. Honestly, I'm going to try and fit in about 2 or 3 of those guys, though, and then play at the bottom for most of my cards.
Yeah.
There's a big gap there, about 8,700 down to 8,000, where I'm not super interested outside of Luque. So, yeah, I'm going to try and play the top and play the bottom and see if I can, put it together correctly.
That's it. Yeah, that's what we got here, and we'll see how it goes. It's going to be an entertaining card, no doubt about it, from kind of the last 2 busts we had. This card will be entertaining. Not only is there the name value, big fights you get, top to bottom, some of those undercard fights are just going to be wars. You're going to get good finishes. Really excited to watch this one, and hopefully, like we said, there's a lot more bets on this card that we liked than on the previous 2. So hopefully we get some luck here, hit the things we're talking about, and we'll see what happens. We'll be recapping our picks and bets next week, as well as preparing for the next card as well.
Yep. I think we got a break next weekend. No fight night there, but we'll definitely give us a little more time to get some research in.
Perfect.
Yep.